Yes, what's going on, people? It's another one wrapped on TV. The best talking boxing in London. But we're trying to go international. You know how we do. So yeah, it's been a relatively busy weekend. We saw our man like Crawford go overseas and try and do a thing. Sam, you got a little bit of echo. If you can try and work that.
Yeah, really.
And nonetheless, got to let you introduce yourself, big man Sam. How you doing, sir?
All good, bro. All good. Just cracking on, doing what I need to do. Being there, watching the boxing, seeing what's going on in the ever-changing, crazy boxing world.
Mm.
Just keeping it moving, really. But there's a lot to talk about today, actually. And some. I feel like I put the agenda out. Everyone's like, "What about this? What about this? What about that?" Come on the show and have your say, regardless. Don't matter.
We need the people to be coming on and doing their thing. So yeah, as always, you've got to remember. Please remember to hit the subscribe button, like the page, follow us, do whatever you can to get our social numbers up because we need it. You know, we're like paupers. We're like Oliver Twist out here. So please, sirs, please, ladies, please give us some more. But no, all jokes aside, like you said, a relatively busy week, quite a lot to discuss. I'm going to hit it different and jump straight into a tweet that came up from the WBC lineal champ, Gypsy King, Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury said he will not be fighting this year. He will be returning in 2021, and only those that have supported him 100% since his comeback will be with him for the glory. We know that he's talking about this man, Deontay Wilder, who has subsequently come out of a few interviews and tweets himself saying that he wants that trilogy, that third fight, and that he wants to do everything possible to make it happen. And we have heard rumors of some type of mediation going on behind the scenes. Sam, I want to take it back to the Tyson tweet. He was due to fight December the 5th. That's not happening anymore. Do you think that was a decision he chose or was forced on him?
I reckon it was forced. Personally, for him to, for just let's not forget that, was it Paris Fury's wife's name? Paris Fury tweeted that she's moving out the house with the kids, not because they're arguing or anything, but because she wants Tyson to have his space for his fight. So this guy's obviously made a commitment. He's committed to fighting on this date. And all the span has gone in the works. So obviously they've got to keep it quiet because Shelley Finkel is a great lawyer, as we know. Some people could argue that, or some people could say he's just crafty, but probably has exercised the right for the mediation clause, because in every contract there's room to be able to have a few months of mediation before you completely terminate or end contracts. So I think they're in that phase at the moment and they're exercising their right. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just someone who reads a few contracts every now and then. So that's what I think is happening. And that's why he's probably had to put quite a mellow tweet in by saying he'll be 2021. That's not typical Tyson. Tyson is very kind of outspoken and just says what's on his mind. That's a very PR-driven, media-friendly tweet. But maybe I'm just looking into it too much. I just think that's what I think anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be fair, though, that is a good point that you've brought up there. I think, you know, if you look at it on the basis of like his character, I think some of the news that we've heard of late, just from Wilder, you probably would suspect that whilst an opponent wasn't fully confirmed, there was rumors from Frank Warren in an interview that he done. I say rumors, well, he said Agit Kabayel was going to be the intended opponent. I think once Wilder kind of was putting his foot down and saying he wants that fight, I think, it's fair to say that that's where they were going to go down. I think whether it was just Wilder, I think whether it was whether the cause was Wilder or whether we're saying, look, you know, the networks are saying, you know, between ESPN and Fox, they're saying, listen, they've got a legal team that are going to be way more sort of like, with all respect, knowledgeable than Fury. They're saying, listen, you have to commit to this. This is the route we have to go down. I think once that chip had been thrown onto the table, I think, it was always going to be this fight got pulled. I guess my second question to you really is, do you think that, though, that the Wilder versus Fury fight trilogy will take place, and it will take place before the winner gets to face Fury, or Fury gets to fight Joshua?
Well, Fury fights Joshua. Who knows? He's got to get through December 12th with Pulev. that mistake before with Andy Ruiz, so we're not trying to make that again.
Yeah, fair point.
I hope that doesn't happen. But I do think there could be a trilogy. But it wouldn't surprise me now if they mediate, take step aside money, Wilder's to regroup, and him to fight Joshua, and then for him to soak up whoever's underneath and have the winner while still having that right to fight whoever. It wouldn't surprise me if that happens and they come to that agreement, because end of the day, next year, we plan to have a lot of fans opening up. We're going to have a lot of gates, and everyone's going to be. We hope that the world's back to normal, especially since this is coming to play, which probably is going to be enforced as of 2021 next year. So the way I see it is potentially Wilder could take some step aside money and wait for AJ and then build up the fight for AJ Fury to go. But who knows? If they do have the trilogy again, that's a delay for whoever was WBC mandatory. So Dillian White's out the window for a long while until the veteran comes in. And this is what we feared. We feared this, but that's now the reality. And ultimately, there's going to be a long, long waiting period for AJ Fury or the winner of that. So it's going to be very difficult to kind of place those fights. And it won't surprise me if it's 2022 we see this fight happening. I can easily see it happening like that.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is, you know, I've seen some, I'll say comments, but some people have said, you know, Joshua should look to, Joshua Fury should maybe look to sort of vacate the belt, maybe, you know, just to allow the fight to take place. Maybe they do it without the WBC. I have to be honest, as much as this is possible, I don't see that happening, because I think, you know, if we're talking politics, I think that gives the power to Joshua, because especially from a 50-50 perspective, because Joshua is then saying, well, why are we going 50-50 if you don't have a belt? And, you know, whilst the lineal title is respected, it's acknowledged, I think it doesn't give you anything, Joshua famously said. So on that basis, he's going to want to see something on the table. We're going to want to see that belt on the table at a press conference. So I definitely think, it's going to get messy. I know Eddie Hearn's come out and said that, but I think it is a fair comment. That's not him trying to maybe downplay. I just think it is going to get messy, because if Fury doesn't want to agree to the fight, then, I just don't know how the Fury-Joshua fight can just be kind of, unless Fury accepts less money and he's already in that, he doesn't think he deserves that. He feels he deserves 50, or if not,
there's going to be a huge dispute. There's going to be a huge dispute on our hands, bro. It's not going to be easy. They're going to be putting in, until they've resolved this issue, they're going to stop Fury from fighting. There's of course they're going to do that. Of course, there's no way. Bob Arum knows the game as well. It's also why I think Bob Arum is responsible for doing a lot of Fury's kind of contracts with negotiated in terms of with MTK. So I'm going to stop him from fighting, and it could be a horrible, horrible cycle. But I hope it doesn't get to that. And you know, I'd like to hear what other people have to think about that. Do they think that was really Fury tweeting? Is it his decision? Is it not? Let us know. Drop a comment, and kind of go from there. But one topic to talk about, though, speaking of legal and disputes, your boy Bud Crawford.
Boy, you know, the dog.
The dog, brother Crawford, is on his way to PBC, baby, yeah?
Boy, I mean, I think it's a fair place to start. I mean, we're definitely going to get into the fight for those that are wondering. But I think when you look at the rumors, I think usually there's a saying, there's no smoke without fire. I think in this case, you know, there's smoke. I think Bob Arum's come out on some quotes after the fight, before the fight. I think Crawford may have done an interview as well. But I'm going to focus on the Bob Arum quote. And I think the key one about I've spent more of the amount of money I've spent on Crawford would allow me to build a Hollywood connection. I think it's quite telling. I think if you listen to the Fight Hype interview by Sean Sattel, big up Sean Sattel, he spoke to Bob Arum, and Bob Arum was like, you know, trying to make Crawford more media friendly. He said it's like pulling out teeth, which I think anybody that's been to the dentist knows that's never enjoyable. So for him to make that type of a top comment, either Bob is speaking the truth or the edibles are getting to him. So for me, I think that relationship is starting to break down. And you know, the other caveat I want to throw into it as well is I think even this whole Manny Pacquiao deal, and that's where I'm just like, what's going on in Crawford's mind? Because for me, for you to chase the Manny Pacquiao fight, I think is a bit of a disrespect. Because yes, he's a champion. I do not doubt that. We can see it. He beat Thurman last year, no doubt about that. But he was on your side of the street for a good 4 or 5 years, and that never materialized. So why is it now it should materialize when he's left? So that it just smells a bit odd to me. I have to be honest. So yeah, I mean, in your thoughts, what's your thinking about
Mad,
this?
bro. Absolute madness. I think I understand where Bob's probably coming from because he's looking at things from a numbers point of view, and he's a promoter that's been around and seen it all, and said, look, the kind of money that he's lost on Crawford, because when he's as good as him, but you don't sell tickets, you still have to pay him because he's that much of a respected fighter in the community, and you know what he brings to the table.
Yeah.
And the fact he's had to pay that, he's probably thought, do you know what? I don't really need him. But Top Rank's going to be, maybe they've got talent that we don't know of. They're still in the staple and stuff, because I don't think they're keeping all the Tiafumo.
I mean, that one maybe is debate. Yeah, I agree with you on that. But I think they got talent, though. I think you can't deny they've got talent. Not the biggest.
Yeah, not true. Crawford's in the back.
Do you know what I mean?
True. No, that's a fair point. Crawford's in the back end of his career, though. And
I agree with you on that.
He's 34. He's only going to have, let's say, I'll give him maximum 5 to 6 fights left, the way this guy fights. With 5 to 6 fights left, and if that. Yeah. So for me, he is at the best. He's pound for pound. He's at the top level. Unless he fights someone like, if he goes to PBC, he makes the fight with Spence. If he loses that, because a lot of people think Crawford's going to lose that and Spence is going to win. Where does Crawford go from there? Just pick up all these hard fights from lower weights or go upper weight? So. Yeah,
I mean, I think that's a good point, because I think Spence beats him. I still stand by Spence.
You know what he does? He does. Spence is actually, I don't know. I don't know now. Post-operation, he's got gas.
Yeah. In fact, let me shut up. Can I retract that? What I want to say is I'm not judging that fight until we see the Spence Garcia fight, because that's a great point. I think we need to see what he's. I won't even say made of, what position, what conditioning he's in. So yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, we want to see him. We want to see him back. But let's talk about this fight, though, bro.
So let's talk about the fight. Those of you that are watching online, you see the imagery. Bro, talk to me. You saw the fight. We all did that, staying up, waited. College football is a pain in the bleep. And then we saw the fight. I mean, tell me your thoughts, bro.
That was mad. That was Brook. When I saw Brook the first couple rounds, I said, "Oh, he's all right." Do you know what? I could smell an upset, kind of, the way he's boxing. Then I just saw a guy switch to southpaw. Kel could not handle it. I said, oh my God. Started flicking him, guy, just going, started what you could tell he was just, even in the second round, even though in the third round, some people still think Kelbrook won. Yeah. I thought, depends how you're looking at it. From whatever, but if you're looking at it from volume, then maybe because Kel was the busier guy in the round, well, it looked as if it was. I don't know the full stats. It looks as if Kel was the busier round, it was busier in the rounds, but the way Crawford was fighting and throwing the jab and the hook, it was kind of like, I'm just warming up. I know I'm going to catch you. And then boom, whack. But what's weird for me is, it's the way he was in the kind of mid-center or center of the ring. Yeah. The way he just backed himself up onto the ropes to then just get pounded. But for me, looking at that, this is the same guy that got pounded and broken down by Golovkin. And Golovkin, not that it took him that long to break him down, but it took an array of punches before the towel. So if you're comparing a Kell Britt that's tough as steels and wants to feel the power and talks about how he's obsessed with feeling people's power, I think Crawford's got the kind of punch power that Golovkin has. Yeah. So for me, people asked questions around that performance. People said he'd be ashamed of himself. People even said to me that him and Khan belong in a match made in heaven because of how they are. Crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely that point about the Khan. I think there's definitely a good synergy now that they've both been beaten by Crawford, and I think the fact that Khan lasted longer does not bode well for Brook. I mean, a question I want to ask you, because you touched on it around the Triple G. Do you think his resistance, his punch resistance gone. Because for me, you talk about Spence, you talk about Triple G. Would you say they're bigger punches? I think most people would say yes, but forgetting all of that, I think it was the type of punch, bro. I mean, a lot of people were trying to say it was hook. Maybe it kind of came out of that hook position, but for me, it landed as a jab. Now, yes, it's
it was like a hook. It was like a hook jab. It was straight.
Exactly, and it was a headshot, and he maybe didn't see it, but bro, the reaction, the way it just shut down, you know what? Shut down all lights, like Skepta, whoever wants to say it, bro. It was a bit of a problem for him, I have to say, and mentally, I don't know how he's going to recover. So yeah, my question to you is: do you think his punch resistance is gone?
As in how he's able to take his tolerance to punches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's completely gone. We know this. Like from Spence, we could even you got to understand this guy's had 2 broken eye sockets. Like the way he put his head down was like, I'm not trying to get this messed up again because I could have lost my sight. So you got to understand, even when he got knocked out or dropped by Spence, Eddie came out, you know, famously and said, look, just when I saw him get out, I thought, stay down, don't get up, just do what you need to do. So, you know, he was like, stay down, son. I think the no context Hearn had something like that up. But yeah, in hindsight, Kel is, you know, there's nothing to you got whatever you say about him, you have to do respect the fact that he's been to fight people. He has to fight. As much as Eddie did say that he has ducked a few guys in the past, but I think when it's matter, look at the resume, which I spoke about with you privately, that Porter is going to be kicking himself that he lost to Kel. Kind of fight as Sean Porter is, he should be kicking himself that he lost to Kel. And the fact Kel didn't want a rematch means the fact that Kel didn't want a rematch knew what kind of dog Sean Porter is. But
that's a good point.
He's got Golovkin, he's got Errol Spence, and now he's got Terence Crawford on his resume. So 4 top, arguably pound for pound guys at some point in their career. So if I was him, I'd look back at this and just say, look, I've done well. I know we got a decent purse, but is it enough to live off? We don't know. So I think he should just do a fight with Khan in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Money and go.
Yeah. And I mean, those are great points that you're making there. It's again, I just think back to the mental, you know, how this is going to affect him mentally, because you got the Khan beef, which is always in the background. I think it was a big opportunity, but I think, you know, you're looking at it like he spoke so much about the shape, whereas fights are not won by your shape. You know, they might be lost by your shape, but they're not necessarily won because of your shape. And especially when you're talking about guys like Crawford who stay in shape all year round. You look at his camp, as much as George Capetillo is a good coach and is someone that's good and strong to have in your corner. You know, you talk about energy. You know, it might have been a bit new for them to work together. You didn't have Eddie Hearn, so you don't really have Sky Sports. It means you've lost this fight in a bad way. Are you attractive now to any other network? Because I think, to your point, if he had lost, he lost, but he went out on his shield and he looked like, you know what, this was an admirable performance. I'm sure people would have still been on the phone and think, you know what, like, yeah, post-COVID, Brook would probably do numbers at stadium, but it was sad, I've got to say, bro, because even Crawford kind of looked at him like, oh, you finished? Like, it was like,
yeah.
He gave him that look, bro. So, yeah, but I mean, in terms of where do we go from here for Crawford, I mean, 2021 is going to be a very, very interesting year. You spoke and you led into this with the whole contract. Now, let's just take, for example, Spence is out of the corner. Do you think this Pacquiao fight will happen in the Middle East as they've suggested?
Spence Pacquiao?
No, sorry, Crawford Pacquiao. I think Spence will take that off the table. I think Spence
Crawford Pacquiao.
But
yeah. I've heard that Pacquiao's got a huge tax bill to still clear off, which is why he's still fighting.
Everybody heard that, man. That's like the strongest rumor on Twitter.
Huh?
I said that's the strongest rumor on Twitter.
I've heard he's got a huge tax bill to pay. So,
allegedly.
Yeah, I believe he might do, because why are you still fighting at your age and what you're doing? You've got nothing else to prove. Like, why are you still fighting? Maybe just does that for banter. He's fighting competitively. That's the difference between the two. So I do think it can happen. There's the connections. Pacquiao always gets the crowds. If it happens, it's not something that I'm kind of like, oh my God, I want to see, because Pacquiao's kind of past his time. Crawford, until you fight Spence, I don't want to hear it. Because you've done everything. You are pound for pound, arguably. But if you fight the best and do everything the fans want, everyone wants to see you and Spence. Spence is undefeated. You're undefeated. Two guys putting their O's on the line, and ultimately you go from there.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point. I think with Crawford, if he doesn't get the Pacquiao fight, what does he do then? Does he stay?
Crawford doesn't get the Pacquiao fight. He's got to stay active. Whether it's have a warm up fight, which people are you got to accept the stick for, or I think
it wasn't Brook a warm up fight though, bro.
Brook is a warm up fight, but at the same time, you're still in a dispute with Top Rank. Sort that. My priority, if I'm talking to him or thinking from a not business point of view, but from a general boxing fan point, align yourself with PBC because that's the only way, or the Zone, or whatever you want to.
Yeah.
And make sure that Spence is your target. Whatever contract you want to sign, maybe it's a 3-fight deal, 4-fight deal, however much it is, but they have to ensure that you fight Spence, so long as he is this number one contender.
Yeah. No, that's what I think. Yeah.
I mean, I completed everything, and I think he can retire.
I mean, I do think I do make you right, and that's just real. I do make you right. You think to yourself, you need to get in with PBC and then start, because I don't think they'll throw you the Spence bone straight away. I mean, it could be a ploy just to get him over there, but I don't think they'll throw that bone straight away. But I think you look at Ugas, you look at Porter, I think is your entry onto that side of the street. I think those are two perfect fights for him. I think it shows a lot, because if he can beat them, which I predict he would beat them, though they would be very tough fights, I think he could beat them. I think if he does that, it raises his stock. And then who would be next? You know, would you maybe say a Pacquiao, maybe a Thurman? I kind of think Crawford Pacquiao does, and Thurman fighting Spence Jr. I think that's a good way of matching it as a semi-final, and then the final would be, you know, hopefully Spence versus Crawford. But yeah, let's see how that goes. So moving on though, I did want to give a quick shout out. Last weekend last Friday we saw the rematch. Denzel Bentley taking on Mark.
Come on.
A rematch that was ended in a draw last time around during sort of like the height of lockdown at one of Frank Warren's bubbles. But this time around, Denzel Bentley came out and he was confident, and he said that, you know, this is going to be a different approach. And I think it's fair to say we did see that in the ring on Friday night. Bro, tell me your thoughts.
Bro, big up Denzel. Unbelievable. I was watching that. I had to call. I gave him a call that morning, just saying like, bro, what you did now, you've made some serious history. You can build on from there. I think what he did there was everything I wanted to see from him. Because if you look at my last fights, the last few podcasts when we were speaking about this, I said he needs to not get out the ring. He needs to stop moving on the ring. He needs to stay out, try and command that and be awkward. And that's what he was doing. He was doing the odd switching up. He was doing the step to step, the side to side.
Yeah.
He was catching him in both in different types of stances. And that's what led to the bust of the eye for Heffron. But ultimately, that could have been the way the fight was going. Even though Bentley was controlling it, it was still very close. But if I reckon they were going at that kind of speed and how they were going in the fight, I would have predicted Bentley would have won just by majority decision, or split decision in his favor because of how he was, and he was the more aggressive one. But don't get twisted, Heffron will come back. He's got a big Mancunian following. Huge Manchester guys up north. He sells a lot of tickets and got a lot of support. So I'm sure he'll bounce back and they retire just based on the eye. But look, onwards and upwards from Bentley. Get your name out there. Start all the guys. Keep it moving.
Keep it moving. No, well said. Listen, we're going to go out to the phone lines now. We're coming straight out to you. So let's start with our resident, Mr. Appiah, 985. What's going on, doggy?
Yeah, all good.
How you doing, sir?
All good, James. How are we? All right?
Yes, we are good. How are you, sir?
Very good, gentlemen. Very well.
Talk to us. What's on your mind?
Just want to talk about the fight Saturday night, the big fight Saturday night, with between Crawford and Brook. Ruthless from Terence Crawford. Got the job done. I gave every round to Brook before that, to be honest with you. I thought Brook was doing all right. I thought, but you know, fucking hell. Crawford fucking closed the show in a ruthless fashion. So, yeah, that's it.
Where does Brook go from here, Daniel, do you think? You think he should call it a day?
You know, when I was thinking about it earlier, I would actually like to see him and Amir Khan get it on, actually. I'd like to see them two fight.
It's not overcooked? You think it's still...
Say that again, Coach?
It's not overcooked?
He's not overcooked.
Yeah. You think it's taking too long?
Fight. Fuck it, fight. For the British public, just fucking fight. Get out there and fucking fight.
Yeah.
On an undercard somewhere, I don't know, fucking get it on. They both been giving it and that. Just fucking, just fight. Just fucking fight, innit?
Mm. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And moving on, we've got Nigel Benn's son Conor Benn fighting this weekend. What's your thoughts on him?
I'm very up and down with Conor Benn, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, what about you? How do you feel about it, Mum?
I think it's a good look for Conor Benn to beat Formella. A promoter like Eddie Hearn that will flower it up and say, look, I'll beat Formella, I'm at the top level. Even Eddie was saying today, I saw in the Sky Sports interview today, he said Conor Benn is now world level, or he can fight at world level. And they've done such a good job with him. And I think, keep saying that. I'm just waiting for someone like a Congo, a Maku, Don Charles's guy to come and really show this guy, or Chris Jenkins or whoever. But thing is, once you say you're world level, you're putting yourself out there, that means you're challenging for these big world fights, these big titles. And that welterweight division is not easy. Become the British outright. I think he became British, right? I'm not sure if he became British welterweight champion, but I think it was the southern. Was he southern area? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think he needs to beat all the guys in Britain to be able to say he's able to go.
Can he do that though? I don't, bro. He's not even picked up any honours, bro.
That's what I'm saying. He can't. So why you think? Because he sparred with Kell Brook. Because he sparred with Kell Brook, he's got this name for himself of now, holding his own. But we all know sparring is sparring, and it's not the real. So ultimately, I really want to see how he goes. It'll be interesting to see. I'm going to watch him more from a technical point of view instead of his punch power, or whatever. I really want to see how he's able to move and then compare it with the other guy, Congo or Maku, because I think he's in trouble if he fights those boys, man.
Yeah. So and Dan, we've heard the rumors about Fury. Last one before we let you go. Fury, he will not be fighting on December the 5th. It looks like there's going to be a bit of a battle between him and Wilder in outside of the ring. Do you want to see the trilogy? And do you think that will be Fury's next fight?
The trilogy. I mean, if there is a trilogy, I think it'll be the same thing again.
Yeah.
There'll be I think Fury smashes him up again. To be fair, yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing it again.
No problem. Listen, we're going to move on to the next caller, but I appreciate your support as always.
Right. Bro.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Take care, guys. Enjoy your night, Jen. Take care.
Yes. Moving on to 297. 297. I think that's Uncle.
Hey, hello, guys.
How you doing, Uncle? We're doing good. Yourself?
I'm good, Uncle here. It was a good fight on Saturday, wasn't it? On Sunday morning.
Yeah. What did you think?
Like Mr. Abel said, Bob Crawford closed the show. But I think, like I rightfully pointed out last week, I thought Brook would give him some problems, which he did in the first few rounds. I think he even caught Crawford's eye, didn't he? Or just above the eye. But Crawford is so adaptable. And basically, when he switched to southpaw, you could see the writing on the wall. And unfortunately, Brook's resistance isn't what it used to be. So good with them.
Question.
I heard what you guys said about Barbero.
Yeah.
I think he knows he's going to lose Crawford once his current deal is over, which is probably not because if Crawford's a free agent, he can sign with PBC or even remain independent, but those fights can be made because, as you know, all the top welterweights are on the other side of the street with PBC.
Yeah.
We're all looking forward to my guys, Danny Swift Garcia and Errol Spence. So I think the winner of that fight should obviously fight Terence Crawford.
Yeah. I mean, but realistically, though, Uncle, do you think that's going to happen?
Which one?
Do you think the winner would face Crawford, knowing that Crawford still has up to a year left on his contract with Top Rank? Do we think?
When I say we'll face Crawford, I can see them fighting him next year. I'm not saying it's going to be the next fight. Well, I mean, and this fight you definitely need a crowd because you want to maximize pay-per-view revenues. I mean, Errol Spence and Garcia are pay-per-view fighters. Spence is now making like about $15 million a fight. So I see that happening around this time next year.
Yeah.
And I mean, it will be a very important fight for boxing because you'll be having two of the best pound for pound fighters facing each other, and we'll also determine who's the undisputed welterweight champion of the world. We've had it before with Milton McCrory against my hero, the great Don Curry. Sugar Ray Leonard against Tommy Hearn. I mean, one thing I would like to say is the fighter Bud Crawford reminds me of is Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean this as a compliment, so I hope people get the right way what I'm about to say. But he's a mean, nasty son of a bitch, and I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah.
I mean, fighters are ruthless in the ring, but Bud Crawford's guy, once he has you hurt, he's going to finish you. I'm not saying the Spence is not ruthless in the ring. I mean, Spence to me is a mixture of the mindset, mentality of Martin Hagler, the body punching ability of Mike McCallum, and the fundamental skill sets of Don Curry. So I think,
that's a blend.
Really knows how the fight between Spence and Terence Crawford at their best will go.
Yeah.
So I marginally go for Spence.
No, not yeah. I mean, don't worry, Uncle. If and when that time comes, we'll definitely be coming to you for prediction. But last point before we move on, we saw this weekend we've got. In fact, I want to take it back from Katie Taylor. I don't know if you saw Katie Taylor's performance. I mean, you're a man, a pugilist. You like the sport. We've got to give her props on the way she fights, right? I mean, she's just a good fighter.
First of all, Katie Taylor is a good fighter.
Yeah.
She's a really good fighter. I think she's doing a lot for women's boxing, especially on this side of the Atlantic. But I saw something before this show. Ring Magazine have Katie Taylor's pound for pound.
Yeah, I did see that as well.
I'm sorry, right at this moment, I think the best female boxer in the world.
Oh, no doubt. Clarissa Shields. Yeah.
So, I must say, I think there is now a challenge for Clarissa Shields. You know Savannah Marshall?
Yeah, she's very fluid in her movement.
Winning the world title the other week. She's a fleek. She's fleek. She moves well.
Yeah, she punches.
Well, and she's doing well with Peter Fury.
Yeah. And she's already beat Shields. Although it was the amateurs, I'm not holding that against Shields. I just think it shows that there's not maybe that fear or that intimidation element that Shields had. Shields is very confident. She's got great belief but I don't think Savannah Marshall will fall for that. So yeah, that would be a very good fight if they can mix that up.
That would be a very good fight. And I also like the contrast in personalities. And to be honest, Clarissa Shields is the challenge because she's just so far ahead with a lot of skills. But this is the first time I thought, okay, this could be a proper contest.
Yeah. So listen, Uncle, we're going to have to move on, but thank you very much for your support. We'll catch up soon. Next week. Bye. Going out to 045. 045. I want to say, Dwayne?
I believe that's me. You saying, bro?
Yes. What's going on, bro? Long time, man. How you been?
What's happening?
Yeah, not too bad, but not too bad. I have to show some damn respect and dial in.
No, we appreciate that, man. Appreciate the support as always. Where do you want to start, man? Did you watch the fight on the weekend? You want to talk about what's been going on in boxing?
Yeah, I guess Kell Brook, man. He's done. He's finished. I felt like the moment I even heard he was fighting Terence, it was already over. It was just ridiculous. I feel like it was just a money move, though, man. That's all it was. It was just to make some money because he never, let's be realistic, innit? He never stood a chance in hell of beating Crawford. No chance at all. And I kind of disagree with a lot of the callers so far. I don't feel like there's no part of me watching that fight that felt like Brook was doing well. I just knew it was a question of win. Okay. And I think when you're talking fighting for a world title, you get finished in round 4. That's not a good performance, bro.
100%. Yeah. I mean, you're right. You're 100% right. But you didn't feel. I'm not saying it was anything to write home about. But you didn't think Brook started the better fighter. You don't think that he nicked a few rounds, you don't think he won a few rounds, or you gave Crawford those rounds?
Do you know how I look at it? It's almost like it's probably a bit controversial. I'll probably get slandered, right? But
nah, man, don't say that.
It's like how I look at Conor McGregor in the fight with Mayweather. Like, did it matter that he did well in the 3 rounds? Like, what does it?
Yeah, and no, you're right. You are right. You are right. You are right on that.
No, but Dwayne, let me ask you this though. So you're telling me you didn't think Kell Brook did well in round 1 and round 2?
Nah, I just felt like it was Crawford just feeling him out, just a feeling out process. Yeah. Seeing Crawford again, first couple rounds, download the day, and then that's it.
Did you watch the Fight Hub interview though? Was it Fight Hub or the Aftermath? Or when those two got together, and Crawford said he was hard to work out. He didn't really understand him for the first 2 rounds, which is why he was winning, because he couldn't work him out and then adjust to his game plan. So surely, if someone had to adjust to their game plan, they must have done well. And don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest Brook fan in the world, but I had to give him a little bit of props there.
But I think, go, Dwayne.
We're boxing fans, purists for that as well, yeah?
Yeah.
Don't you feel like he was just being nice? I mean, come on. Like, what I would define as someone finding it hard to beat someone is Mayweather versus Cotto. Yeah. Where Cotto gave Mayweather trouble. That's why it was hard to beat him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I have to say though. I mean, I gave Brook those rounds. I think he done well. But to your point of just how the finishing, I think the finish was so disappointing for me that, you know, a year from now we probably won't speak about how well he started. I know you're not giving him props. I understand your point. But I think the finish was just so disappointing. So I mean, for your question for you then, in terms of Brook, where do you think he goes from now?
Might as well retire. Like, ever since the Golovkin fight, he can't take a shot. As soon as one of your callers, I think, said it, or might have even been one of you guys, that the moment he gets hit, he starts curling up. He's finished. He's done. He can't compete at a high level. Yeah. Any fight now is just going to be a money fight or a farewell fight, and that's it. Like Ricky Hatton just had his little farewell fight. It's going to be something like that. It's not going to be a meaningful fight, really, is it? And I feel like it's almost a discredit to his own to his own career to do that. You might as well just bow out, man. Just call it a day.
Yeah, because you don't want to do do you remember the I mean, obviously everybody says he's a nice kid, the Anthony Crawler. You know, he just had a nice send-off fight where it was just anything. So I hear you. So I want to speak to you about the Fury Wilder situation. We've not spoken, so tell me your thoughts on the Wilder allegations, and then tell me your thoughts on if we see the Wilder versus Fury 3.
I think the allegations are the most disgraceful, ridiculous statements I've heard in the entire sport of boxing as far as why someone lost the fight. I mean, if he just focused on one thing, I'd think, okay, maybe not. But he went from the suit being too heavy, his water was spiked, fucking his coach betrayed him, the referee's crap in a bucket, fucking Fury had weights in his gloves. Just madness. Like, it's just an embarrassment to the sport, an embarrassment to his nation, and an embarrassment to everything. It's just terrible, awful, disgraceful.
Yeah. No. I think you're all right. And in terms of that fight, any chance of the third fight happening in the trilogy? Is that something you think that you want to see?
Nah, no interest in seeing the fight. Although I've heard the little rumors as well rumbling around. I just think it's foolishness. It's just money, like from his team. Maybe Wilder himself and his ridiculous fan base believe he'll win, but I think that Shelley Finkel and Al Heyman, that would just be a cash out because he doesn't stand a hope in hell of beating Fury.
Yeah.
And if I was Fury, you know what? This might sound a little bit controversial. If I was Fury, I'd probably just drop the fucking belt. So piss off because look at the things he's saying, man. He's taking it too far. What?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I do want to come to that point though about the dropping of the belts. I mean, do you think that would still make the Joshua fight happen though? I think that might be the challenge. Do you not think if he was to drop that fight, being able to get that Joshua fight over the line?
I think under the circumstances, I think the fans would still accept that fight because he'd still have the Ring Magazine title. You could, although like a lot of people don't appreciate that belt or respect it, but you could still market it, and I think you could still push the narrative that he's dropped the belt simply because he feels like he feels totally offended by Wilder and the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I think you can make it, but you make a fair point. I mean, could that make business more complicated? Maybe not.
Yeah, it's a mad one. It's going to be a wait and see. And I mean, I don't know when we're going to catch you again. So this is going to be my last question to you: Spence versus Garcia. Hopefully, you'll call in when we do the predictions for that. But if we don't, Spence versus Garcia. How would you see that fight going?
Spence wins by late stoppage.
Okay. Nothing from the accident is going to impair him, you think?
Well, that's a good point. That is a very good point. We don't know how he's going to bounce back, but I would have thought because his team and his circle, they seem pretty solid from a boxing perspective, and I would have thought his coach wouldn't put him out there for a fight like that if he didn't feel that he was 100% good to go.
Yeah.
So you make a fair point. I mean, God knows what will happen if he gets hit hard. Is there any long-lasting damage? If anything, that's the only chance I'll give Garcia because Garcia, he was a good champion, but I think his prime's come and gone. You know?
Yeah, no, fair.
Last fight, he didn't seem, you know?
Yeah, no, fair point. So listen, Dwayne, appreciate your support as always. Coming back to call in. Look forward to hearing from you some more in the future. And then just keep us posted, bro.
Thank you, bro.
All right, take care, brother.
What's the goals today?
Sam.
Respect, Sam. Bless, man.
Oh, bless up, bro. Bless up.
Cheers.
Next caller.
The next caller 783.
What's happening? You all right?
Yes. Hello. Yes.
It's MK. What's happening?
MK Boxing.
What's going on?
What's happening? You all right?
Yeah, we're all good, man. Talk to me, bro. I know you've got opinion because you missed the show for a few weeks now, so I know you got a lot to say. So talk to me.
I'm so busy, man. I've been so busy. But I've been from a distance.
No, I appreciate that.
No, I appreciate that, bro. Talk to me, bro. What do you think of Fury's recent tweet? Basically saying that he looks to fight in 2021 when he was in full camp mode. Do you think he's made that decision by himself, or has his hand been forced to make that decision?
What you say? He wants to fight 2021 who? Wilder?
No, he's postponed the fight. He's fighting in 2021 now. He was scheduled to fight in early December, but now it's been pushed back miraculously.
You see, Fury, I'm not really interested in him yet, unless he's fighting AJ. And I'm really interested in AJ unless he fights Fury. I'll be real with you.
No, I hear that, bro. I hear that. So you want to see that fight?
Say that again?
So you want to see that fight then?
Yeah, I feel like it's overdue, man. Like, how long? That's the fact. Everyone want to see unifications. Like, everyone wants to see Fury and AJ. Everyone wants to see Errol Spence and Crawford. Like, it's what we want to see. So even Crawford fighting Kell Brook, it's like, do you even want to see that? We know what everyone wants to see. So it's kind of like, who is Fury gonna fight? Who is he gonna fight? Who is he scheduled to fight?
That Ajit Kabayel?
Yeah.
You think I'm tuning in to watch it?
No, I hear you, bro. I want to get your opinion on the recent weekend event in the welterweight division. We recently saw Kell Brook stopped emphatically by Terence Crawford. What do you think on Brook? Do you think Brook can come back again, or do you think it's the end of the road?
I feel like Kell Brook, I feel like Eddie Hearn threw him to the wolves, bro, when he made him fight Golovkin, because ever since that fight, he's been the same. I feel like Kell Brook's one of the best UK boxers when you look at his skill set and how smooth he boxes. I think he's one of the best. I think he's underrated, bro. I just feel that Golovkin fight, he just hasn't been the same since, bro. Just hasn't been the same, man. It's a shame to see him go out like that, because think about Kell Brook after he beat Porter. Think about him going into a fight with Crawford then. How different would it be? You know?
The potential would have been.
No, that's a good point, bro. But also, you got to argue and think that, Eddie Hearn arguably gave Kell his biggest ever payday.
It's important in boxing. For example, a man like Kell Brook, obviously, the Golovkin fight was big money. But sometimes it's not about what you're going to do this fight. Sometimes it's how's the fight going to affect your career, and not who am I fighting today or who am I fighting next month, but who am I going to fight next year. So maybe he should have fought Golovkin towards the end of his career rather than in his prime. You understand?
For real, no, I feel you, and I think it's the payday as well. I mean, just going on, just want to ask you a question, MK, about Crawford. I mean, it was well spotted that he switched up and then he got a lot of success. A question to you though is, what do you think is Crawford's best fighting stance, orthodox or southpaw?
I prefer him southpaw, man.
Yeah.
Every time he turns southpaw, he clips on with the right hook.
Yeah.
All the time. He was having trouble with Gamboa. Southpaw was fine. But I feel like he does it on purpose sometimes. That he gets used to one angle, then he switches it.
Yeah.
And remember, you already got the drift of a fight. You already used to someone fighting orthodox for maybe 4, 5, 6 rounds, and then boom, he's changed it. So it's like they're fighting a different fighter now. Yeah. And then you ain't got enough rounds to adapt because you're on the 8th round now. You can't adapt to southpaw in 4 rounds or 2 rounds,
Yeah.
But I feel like Crawford needs to leave Bob Arum, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like he's a boxer in his prime. He needs to leave Bob Arum because he needs those big fights. He needs those
fights. To go to where, bro? Where should he go to? Where should he go to?
He should go to BBC. Crawford needs to fight Sean Porter. Crawford needs to fight Berman. Crawford needs to fight Spence. Crawford needs to fight all these guys, bro. Look how many fights Crawford's had just fighting these guys. Like, obviously they're decent guys, but come on, man. Like, I want to see Crawford against these guys that's on PC. BBC got all the welterweights.
No, I hear that, bro. Speaking of welterweights, we got Benn fighting this weekend against a guy who got in there with Sean Porter, Formella. Formella did the 12 round with Sean Porter. What do you make of this? Is Benn world level, or is he on the brink of world level? What's your thoughts, bro?
No, I don't think Benn's world level, man. I feel like he's done. I feel like you got to commend him because he didn't have an amateur pedigree. He wasn't anyone big in the amateurs, and he's come through and off his dad's name, what his dad's built for him, he's used that platform to get somewhere. But I just feel like in the boxing IQ / ring generalship / intelligence department, it's just lacking. When you start boxing late, there's some things you're never going to learn. When you start boxing late, there's some things, just certain nuances. Like, look at the way AJ boxes and look at the way Fury boxes.
Yeah. No, respect. Well, I hear you on that. Last question for you before we go. On that same card that where Conor Benn is headlining, we've got Savage the Babbage, or I forget his first name, taking on Tom Little. Savage the Babbage signed to Dillian White. He's kind of made a bit of a name for himself since the fight camp. I think this is his third fight since fight camp. How do you see that fight going down? Because Tom Little's not the greatest, but he knows how to fight. How do you see that fight going down?
I like Tom Little. I like him as a person, but I think he's gonna get swept.
Yeah.
Tom Little, he always looks good in sparring, but when it's fight night, it matters. But you know what fight I was impressed with? I was impressed with Denzel's fight.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Bro, he looks smooth as hell. I messaged him. I said, bro, that's the way you win a British title, bro.
Yeah. I think he got a lot of confidence.
When was the last time you saw someone win a British title that such?
Bro, I'll be honest. I'm gonna say it straight, man. I can't remember. Maybe Joshua, maybe Dubois. But yeah,
Bentley's a middleweight, right?
Just middleweight. I was telling people that some of my mates were like, I don't really rate Denzel. I said, bro, trust me. It's Corona. When his first fight back from Corona, he didn't look too good. But remember, a lot of people are taking time off and they're getting these fights on short notice. Yeah. So they're not having time to work technique and get in shape. It's just like a weight loss camp. So I said, watch his next fight. Yeah. Had his next fight for Efron. And I feel like all he needed to do was to get a couple camps under his belt, and then he was just going to be flying. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just dealt up. He just looked like a different fight, bro. When you look at the first Efron fight, this one, he dealt with Efron, bro, like a little boy. Like, bro, he dealt with it.
It's true.
He dealt. I was watching the fight, and I was like, that is what you call performance, bro. But what he's with Frank Warren, he's not going to get that. Oh my God, Denzel Bentley. If he did that on a matchroom card and fight camp, bro, he'll be the next big thing. But bro, he dealt with Mark Efron, and Mark Efron ain't no pushover.
Yeah. No,
I hear that. Do you know what you need to do, bro? You need to call Al Heyman to make him make a PBC UK.
Bro, trust me. You got the likes of Denzel, you got Chris Congo, all these guys that feel like you don't get a look in as much as they should be. I don't know why that is. I don't know.
The politics.
If they're marketable, I don't know where it is, bro.
Oh, these guys are marketable though. Chris Congo is a marketable guy. Denzel Bentley, marketable guys from London with a great backstory. So it should look. If Joshua Buatsi, I know he had an Olympic pedigree and a very average pedigree. He should, if he's able to be marketable, he's a guy from London as well.
Marketable compared to Conor Benn.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I disagree with. I agree with MK, bro. I think when you talk about marketability, I think you look at Ben. He's got the name. I think you talk about Joshua. He's got that Olympic recognition. Congo, we know he's my guy. Great fighter. Same with Bentley, good fighter. But there's a few of these guys out there, but they don't have the package. They're not with the same right promoter. So yeah, I think that's the challenge.
Fair.
Listen, this boxing game, I'm sorry, but you just got to speak the truth. Like, if you're not going to speak the truth, forget about it. This boxing is a racist game. Yeah, simple as Okay. You've got people like Dave Allen. Yeah. How did Dave Allen become marketable, bro? Yeah. Dave Allen, bro.
He puts bums on seats, though, man. He sells a lot, bro. He's a village boy.
Say that again.
He's a village boy. He gets the whole of Doncaster behind him, bro.
Yeah, okay, so how big is Doncaster?
Exactly. Yeah. And not even that, bro. And to his point, look at Craig Richards. Craig Richards sells tickets, bro.
Bro.
Yeah, true.
Certain man.
Craig Richards.
How they should. Even look at Boaz, for what he's achieved, he should be bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, for real, bro.
Look at the fight he just had with Pellich. That was a mad thing.
That was a big fight.
He still came up on top, so the guy's determined.
Yeah.
Boaz should be bigger, bro. Someone like Boaz should be selling out arenas, bro. And then you got guys that are good, but they're not Olympians, and they're getting way more looking or John Dock or Felix Cass. I think it's myself, bro. What about Boaz and all these guys? What Craig Richards? He's been on the circuit for years, but for British, beat Jake Paul, mashed up Jake Paul, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, you know this. Let's just call a spade, bro.
For real, bro. But no ways, bro. But listen, we're gonna have to move on to the next caller. But I appreciate MK, appreciate you calling in and showing support.
Thank you, brother.
Keep it up and stay blessed. Yes, moving on to 041. 041. Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. What's your name, bro?
What's up, then?
I wasn't expecting to be called, man. I was just enjoying all the chats going on.
Snap.
Williamo.
This guy.
Don't be mentioning that name too much, man. I'm about to trademark that name. You want to pay for that, man?
Well, if you ain't trademarked it yet, we're gonna say it because you can't invoice us. Williamo. Talk to us, man. How you been?
How you guys doing, man? I'm glad. I haven't phoned in for a very, very long time. As you know, been away, got stuck up in the COVID and all that kind of stuff. But I'm glad you guys are still going out strong, man.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, bro. Of course. You got a lot going on.
We're trying, man. Listen, I got to ask you. If I don't know if you saw the Crawford versus Brook, but I want to take it back to. I want to stick at heavyweights for now because you did, like Uncle Pink, give that prediction of Wilder getting knocked out by Fury. Please give me. Have you heard the excuses or the allegations from Deontay Wilder made against Tyson Fury, and what do you think about them?
Oh man, that brother just let everybody down, man. That brother just let everybody down. I'm not surprised though. Are you surprised, guys? Are you surprised?
Yes.
Yeah.
Surprised, man.
Yeah, I think, bro, the level he's talking though, I think the suit was one thing, but I think the whole coach spiking him and the egg weight, it's madness.
It's disgraceful.
Yeah.
It's disgraceful, man. You know, whether or not, even if it's true or not, you need to come out humble, man, because you've been beat the first time by this white big blubber. Yeah? This white big guy. I mean, I'm not racist or anything, man. But okay, it could be Chinese, it could be anything. But boy, this guy has a big center, man, that you can. All you have to do is work on the body and just finish up with the top. Look, everybody know that. To beat, I mean, but for me, that guy ain't got no class, and you know that by the way that he spreads out the money and the gold and everything. He got no class. I don't rate him, man. I don't rate him. He let everybody down. I wasn't his biggest fan, but now I'm shy. I'm shy if to say anything about that guy.
Yeah, he's poor. Very, very poor.
Yeah, very poor, man. Very poor. I wish somebody would be able to get into him and just give him a little bit of something, man. Because boy, I mean, he will come back. I'm sure that when he comes back, he'll learn his lessons about working this Fury guy on the body. Everybody, look, to beat Fury, you need to work on his body. Because of the sort of person that he is, I'm sure that he didn't even listen to. I mean, listen, great boxers, Lennox Lewis, all them people, great boxers, they think on their feet. They can come with a game plan, but when they see that the game plan ain't working, what do? They think on their feet, man.
Just exactly.
Well done, no respect.
Yeah.
And then to come out with all these things that he's saying, he's not even saying it in private. He's giving interviews.
I'm telling you.
Listen, I know a next person just like him, and you guys should know as well. Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? Wilder is the fucking Trump. Pardon the pun. Yeah?
Yes.
Anybody go see him kill it. He's a Trump, man. He's let us down. But anyway.
Yes.
Nice show, nice chat.
We appreciate it. Welcome back, William. Hope to hear from you soon.
William. Take care, bro.
Don't ever give that guy an interview anymore, okay?
Okay.
I beg you.
I'm only going to get it. If I interview him, it's just to ask him what is he thinking.
On the flip side, I'm sure if you get him on, your numbers will skyrocket anyway, man. It's all about the numbers. So get him on there, let us drill it, man.
Exactly.
Get him on there, let us drill it.
No worries.
Bro.
Respect, man.
All right, Coach.
Take care.
Peace, love.
Bless. Yes, moving out to 388. 388. It looks like you're a new caller. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Yes, guys. No, it's an old caller. It's Hamid. I'm just calling off.
Yes. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I just tuned into the show, so I missed the beginning of the show. I'm trying to catch up. I was just going to give my take on Crawford. I'm not going to touch on Wilder. I think it's become now a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff he's saying. But I don't know what you guys thought of the Crawford Brook fight, but I thought it was like on paper not the worst matchup. Like obviously you want to see Crawford fight the guys at Spence, Pacquiao, maybe even Sean Porter, but Brook was coming off a couple of wins. I know he wasn't campaigning at welterweight, but he was active, and style-wise, I thought he had a style to give Crawford problems, and he did early on. He even backed up Crawford. I think Crawford is at that stage of his career. I think he could change fights in a matter of instance, and I think some people won't give him any credit. I still think you should give him a big credit. I don't think Brook maybe was what he once was, but I definitely don't think he was, shot over the hill. Maybe he was past his prime or he's seen better days, but I think Khan, you could see, maybe that fight was bigger because that was on ESPN, but I think Khan going into that fight, you could say he was shocked or
high mileage.
What's that?
I was going to say he's high mileage. Khan going into Crawford, I think he was kind of more at the end of his career with the Canelo loss and so forth. Yeah.
He had been dropped the fight before with Samuel Vargas, who was like a fringe level contender. Brook still showed he got power and he could give guys problems. And whether or not, I think we were debating it the other day, me and a couple of guys, whether or not Brook is a top 5 welterweight right now. Obviously, that's probably far from it, but I still think prior to the Crawford fight, you could argue he was a top 10 welterweight. I think you would have beaten some of the lower echelon top 10 guys, and I think you could have even probably beaten guys like Thurman and Danny Garcia based on the styles. Right now, I think he probably is towards the end of his career because that was a bad knockout in a week. I know he got stopped a bit early, but once you get knocked out multiple times, it takes a toll. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think with Crawford, he needs a name. I know some people won't give many credit until he beats a guy like Spence who's in his weight class. But if that fight can happen, I don't mind seeing the Pacquiao fight. Say Spence and Porter have a rematch, which I think the rumor is going. Then I wouldn't mind seeing Pacquiao and Crawford fight. It'll be maybe bad if Pacquiao and Spence fight next. And I think Crawford may have to try and fight a guy like Porter. I don't know if that fight's going to happen. I don't know. I think he's got a contract till October next year. So whether or not he could get some of the PBC guys with one fight, I don't know. I think the best probably move is probably to get a fight with Pacquiao. I think Frank and Adam said they could try and get. And then that could be his last fight. And then his first fight, if he's going to sign the deal with PBC, would be ideally Spence. But I think we need to also see how Spence looks. But I think that's probably the best fight that could happen. Maybe not the biggest in boxing, but I would love to see that. I don't know about what you guys think about that fight, but do you guys think you have someone in your mind that could win that fight, or is it a 50-50 fight at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, great points there. Great points, bro. And I think the Pacquiao Crawford, they've said that. I think that probably, for me, I still think that's a bit strange as to why that fight didn't happen when they were with the same promoter. I want to kind of throw you a bit of a curveball though and say, who do you think's a more dangerous fight, Crawford against Pacquiao or Crawford against Porter?
Oh, that's a really good question. I didn't think about that. I thought you were going to say Spence. I would say still Pacquiao, based on, I think, fundamentals. I know Porter is very effective, but I think if Crawford can overcome, his aggression and pressure, I think that might work against Porter, against Crawford. I know some people are saying Crawford. I'm times with his chin. When Brook landed some huge shots on him, Seaman did as well. And then the Spence fight, I didn't think Spence was going to knock him out, but just seeing him in there going toe to toe with Spence was meant to be a big puncher. I know he went 12 rounds the previous fight with Mikey, was a lightweight, but I just felt that fight maybe Mikey was in survival. But I probably see Pacquiao still. I think Pacquiao did drop Seaman, and I know he kind of looked to slow down towards the end, but if Pacquiao lands or if Pacquiao is in that fight with Crawford, I still think Pacquiao could beat him. I still think the fight to make obviously is Spence and Crawford. That's probably the best fight. But Pacquiao right now, I still think he's towards the top 3 welterweight. He could maybe put in top 5 or 6 to 7 somewhere in the pound for pound list. So he's still a handful, but Porter, you're never going to have an easy fight. If Crawford was to stop Porter, I think that'd be a statement. But I don't think we really need to see that fight next. If we could get the Spence fight after the Dan Garcia fight, then ideally that'd be everyone what they want. But if we can't, I would have minded seeing the Porter or maybe Pacquiao fight. But it'll be interesting to see. But regarding Crawford Spence, I always thought it's 50-50, but I don't know. I think right now I'd probably lean towards Crawford. I think if I was Spence, I would have tried to make that fight a bit sooner rather than later. I think Crawford, I know he's getting older, but Crawford, it looks like he's settling in as a welterweight.
Yeah, I agree with you, bro. I completely agree with you there. That makes so much sense. But in terms of welterweight, since we're on the welterweight kind of conversation, what do you think of this weekend's matchup with Conor Benn? Because Eddie Hearn's come out publicly and said, Conor Benn is ready and he's world level or borderline world level. Do you think Conor Benn has what it takes to beat Formella and push on to get to world level? Or do you think he's not there yet?
I always thought he was somewhere in British domestic level. I know there's a couple of guys you could argue ahead of him. I think Josh Kelly, maybe 1 or 2. I've seen Formella fight against Porter. I think comes close to knocking him out. He went the distance. He may have won every round, but if Conor Benn is safe to stop him or do a statement on him, I think that's probably a statement. Like that's saying he probably is somewhere maybe fringe European level or somewhere. I don't know about world level at the moment because it's tough to engage, but then again, you are right. He did go 12 rounds Porter, so maybe that's maybe showing he's maybe someone who could get fast tracked. But it'll be interesting to see. I don't think it's the worst card, if I'm being honest, and the worst fight. Maybe I think some people are just annoyed with like so many fights kind of missed out or start putting on pay-per-view. But if I'm just look at that card, it's not a bad card, and I think it'll be interesting to see how he does. If he could stop Formella, then I think that's probably a very good result for him and a very good performance. And you could see a big step up as well.
No, perfect.
No, bro, that makes a lot of sense.
Well said.
What's your handle, bro? What's your shout out? We want to get in contact with you, bro. How can we get in contact with you?
On Twitter or anyway?
Insta, Twitter.
On Twitter, it's Hamid underscore. I think it's about triple underscore. What you could do is I'll
follow us.
A message on.
Yeah.
I'll drop you a message, and then you can just post it. Or if not, I'll call again and I'll just let you know.
Yeah, no,
you're welcome, bro.
Yeah, listen, I was going to say thank you very much, Ahmed. Listen, make sure that you share the show with any of your boxing friends, any other boxing fans that you know. Follow us on Twitter, and then we'll follow you back, and then you'll get all the notifications whenever we're going live.
Yeah, definitely.
But thank you very much for calling in. Always enjoying your calls.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
Cheers. Thanks.
All right,
Bye-bye. Yes, so no, great calls today. Really enjoyed everybody's comments, bro. I think action-packed. Before we go, let's quickly do a quick rundown. Prediction, Benn versus Formella. How do you see that fight going?
I'm hopeful. Benn KO. 7th.
And then we've got Savage the Babbage versus Tom Little. How do you see that going?
Savage the Babbage KO, man. Should knock him out.
Taking on Tom Little, KO. And then I think that is the key fights. We've got Fabio Wardley taking on Richard Lartey. Usually I would be here saying Ghana, and I'm always going to fly that flag.
But you know what? You know what's going on, man.
Yeah, Lartey is just coming over for that check and a bit of Corona, which I'm surprised he even come over here. I mean, Ghana's much safer. the UK at the moment. But yeah,
what's his name? He's gonna bang. Wardley's a good puncher, man. He's gonna put him in 2 rounds.
Fight as well, bro. I mean, from what the little I've seen of him, he can fight. So listen, if Larty's trained hard, I think he'll give a good tough rounds for any fighter. I think the problem is, you know, Matchroom are not stupid. They've not brought him in to upset the apple cart. They've brought him in as cannon fodder. So listen, appreciate your support as always to everybody. Gotta just say before those that go, big up the real Ghana boxer, Ghana boxing. We saw their comments. We saw your comments, bro. Just listening to the callers, but thank you as always. Big up Hamid. There you go, Hamid. If you see us, hopefully you're subscribed and you're sharing the channel with all of your boxing friends. But for everybody else, listen, it's been great, Sam. Do you want to just shout out your handle and the social media handles before you go?
Yes, bro. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, because apparently I don't do this as much as I should. Shout me out, hit me up, SDWOTV, and follow the Raps on TV on all platforms.
Perfect. Listen, guys, it's been good. It's been great fun. Look forward to next week. We're going to be talking more boxing. So look out for more news. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and like on all platforms that you find us. Peace.
Let's get